Warm greetings everyone, thank you for joining me once again. It's a bit of a roundup video this time. You might have seen the first one of these, but it's Sega Genesis Megadrive games 51 through to 100 that we reviewed on the channel. If you see any snippets or any games that you want to see a full review, then check that out in the Sega Megadrive game list. So let's get started. And we start this 50 off with a cool chase view racer. It's Top Gear 2. You drive this red car, although you can change the colours a bit later on. The game is very reminiscent of the Lotus Turbo series. I think this one came afterwards. You've got turbos you can release, and you must qualify in the top 3, I think, each time to qualify for the next track to get to different environments. But so if you're used to the Lotus games, you will love this as well. Moves quite fast, great frame rate. I was really impressed and enjoyed this game. The review went on for quite some time. PAPERBOY 2, much like PAPERBOY 1, except this time you can deliver papers on both sides of the streets. Very similar to PAPERBOY otherwise than that. Different bits to do. Still deliver the papers, get subscribers and smash the windows of non-subscribers. So just what PAPERBOYs and PAPERGIRLs do this time. I mentioned in PAPERGIRLs there is an option where you can be a paper girl in this one, so you don't have to be this guy riding the bike the whole time. Hooray! A very enjoyable game, isometric, and I get a good retro buzz from it. Strider 2, I'd only ever played this game originally on the Commodore Amiga. This version is quite a bit better than that, although the sounds, you can't beat the sounds of the ones you originally had. It's an advancement of the original Strider. If you like that one, you'll like this. But you control this Strider guy and you must destroy everyone on various levels. It's quite tricky. The frame rate isn't the best in the world, but it seems to be acceptable for this style of game. Strider 2. Check out Strider 1 in the first 50. Mortal Kombat. Now this is the first Mortal Kombat game that came out on the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive. You got basically not too many characters there, but the moves are there, and it caused a storm at the time with the fatalities. Now there might be a bit of blood flying around, so I might have to declare that when I monetize the video. Hooray! Actually, this one doesn't look like it's got blood. The second one will have blood, and we'll come to that a bit later in this 50. But it's got photorealism for the time. Finish him, and we certainly do. Micro Machine Military, another top-down race game in the series of Micro Machines. This time you're racing all different like military-style tanks and vehicles, and you can shoot as well to take out your opponents. Well, you have to time it right. If you shoot them, it does cause a bit of a roadblock like that. Takes a bit of practice. The controls a little bit slippery. If you don't get them straight away, well, it's going to be a little bit frustrating, as I sort of like found. But learn the tracks and you're halfway there. Don't learn the tracks, you'll be crashing bits of scenery. It costs too much time. GYNOUG, a rather splendid horizontal shooter with all the slight different power-ups here. You control this Birdman going through a mystic world. Every so often the screen will wobble around a bit and phase in and out. It's a pretty good one. It comes from a recommendation. Didn't know too much about this game back in the day. Known in some countries as Wings of War, so you might know it as GYNOUG, you might know it as Wings of War. But a real cool horizontal shooter. It does the Mega Drive really, really proud. And a good music soundtrack as well, and quite addictive gameplay and fair. Space Invaders 91, a reboot of the original Space Invaders. The first level like this doesn't do too much, but it does vary ever so slightly as you go forward. If you're a fan of Space Invaders, and at the time you wanted Space Invaders again on the Mega Drive or a modern console, then this was the one to get. I think it also came out as Space Invaders 93 somewhere else, but it's the same sort of game really. It might be different in Japan or America or Europe. Nice backdrops, the difficulty isn't too bad. Shoot that UFO if you can. Mortal Kombat 2, look out for the blood. This gives you extra characters. The photo animation is a little bit more realistic, but yeah, got a few extra moves and a few extra characters. If you like the first one, you will love this introduction. Mortal Kombat now has gone absolutely crazily gory, but there we go. Not bad. I had this on the Game Boy Advance also. I played it on the Commodore Amiga. This version is really, really good. And that guy comes on every now and again. I don't know who he is. Maybe he's like a writer or something like that. I did used to know, someone told me. Pit Fighter, useless on every single version I played. This one, believe it or not, is the best one. It's trying to use photorealism a bit like Mortal Kombat did, but not quite as good. The character's a bit too small to try and fully realise what they're trying to accomplish. It's okay, but not impressive at all. As a kid, I wouldn't have played this too often, but you have to defeat a variety of opponents in this, well, den, I suppose. You can't interact with any of these people jumping up and down, waving their hands around you. Just kill everyone. Pack Panic or Pack Attack is a variation of Tetris, one would say. At this time you'll see ghosts and Pac-Men that come down as well. Still do a full line with the bars, but if you get a Pac-Man, he can take out all the ghosts, so time it right. So here comes the Pac-Man, he falls down there and takes them out. So you've got the idea already. It's a really clever game. I would recommend tracking this one down if you own a Megadrive, Genesis or Mini, or simply just emulation. TURRICAN, one of the big ones, one of the games I'm not very good at. It moves quite fast, this one. Again, one of the best versions I've played. There is a game called Mega TURRICAN, which I'm sure we'll come to at some sort of like point here. Looks like the Mega Drive can maybe do a slightly bit better than this, but it performs TURRICAN adequately. Different power-ups, different stages to complete. So go, 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 like the clappers. I never really got on too well with this game, but people will love it because it is renowned as a classic game. I died too often, I didn't have the tactics. Columns, as we listen to this organ music play in the background, which is nice and relaxing, is the kind of game I would have spent quite a lot of time on a Sunday, or if I was stressed there. A bit like other games like Colorist, you might remember from the Spectrum roundup. You get 3 colours in a row and they will vanish. If the screen fills up with blocks and you run out of space, then it's game over. So it's quite simple. You can do 2 players there as well. You see there's a gap for 2 players on the screen, so you can have some pretty epic battles. I think we can get 3 in a row. Boom! Andre Agassi Tennis. Now this is quite a tricky game to master. I didn't return the ball too much, although on near the end of the review I was returning it a little bit more than normal. It's I like the sounds of this. It does move quite well. If you put in the time, you can perfect this, and I think this is a good, it's okay tennis game, but it's not as good as Jennifer Capriati. Capriati is much, much, much better than this game, but you know, it's there to be learned. This different grass courts as well. Alien 3, based on the film Alien, but like all versions, it doesn't bear much resemblance to what happens in the film. Ripley's running around as a skinhead, shooting everything. There's lots of aliens everywhere, though in the first, well, the Alien 3 film, there's only one alien. But what it boils down to is a platform game where you're running around whatever this place is, a space station, trying to rescue hostages from these face huggers and aliens. It's not a bad game, a little bit tricky, but if you're a fan of aliens, say nothing to do with Alien 3 as we rescue a hostage, you'd like this one. Rock and Roll Racing, a great soundtrack on this, and lots of good speech as well. You control this red car going through this track. It moves quite fast. It does something different what other racers do. It's not like top down, it's a bit clearer than that. I prefer Super Off-Road to this one, but this is good also. It's got a good learning curve. It does start off fairly easy, so you'll be progressing quite far in this game. As I say, the soundtrack is absolutely wonderful. Reviewed it on the Game Boy Advance as well. Gauntlet 4, based on Gauntlet from the arcades. If you know anything about retro gaming, you'll probably know all about Gauntlet already. You control any one of 4 characters, either a warrior, Valkyrie, wizard or elf. So for more than one player, you can probably get more fun out of it. But you must find exits and keys without your energy being sapped by all these hangers on trying to kill you. That's right. It's all maze based and it's a really nice retro game. Excellent stuff. Zool first come out on the Commodore Amiga. It's probably slightly better on that version. It's trying to be like a lot of games, Sonic the Hedgehog. Zool is an ant. It's pretty crazy, this one, but I can't forgive it. These blatant advertising for Chupa Chups lollies. Dentists would have been pleased with this. It would have put them in business for ages. So if you was a kid addicted to sweets, you would not be wanting to play this one because you'd be tempted to eat and eat and eat. You got extremely fat indeed. But it moves quite fast. It's an okay game. It passes a bit of time. Back to classic arcades again. Very, very basic, but it's Frogger. You control a frog, which first must cross a road, then cross a stream, and then get into one of those 5 lily pads up the top. And that's all we're going to do the first one. Don't get much more basic than this. So there's one, and repeat that 4 other times without getting killed, and you're there. If you do that, you go on to a next level where the logs are slightly smaller or go slightly quicker, or there's enemies to actually try and knock you back into the water. Frogger. I'm glad this came out on the Mega Drive. It's nice to see. Kickoff 3 European Challenge. It's a horizontal affair. It plays not too bad, this one, but you're going to need, again, a lot of practice to get the most out of it. I preferred the Kickoff series when it was top-down view, but if you're trying to compare this with FIFA, it's quite competitive on that one. Most of the time, you'll be booting the ball around. It's not really a passing game. It's just, you know, kick it and hope. But that might be because I'm just a little bit rubbish. Different types of shoot. No, and that guy saved it. So, you know, you can be be winning this one. Chase HQ 2, sequel to the original HQ. It's not the best racing game on the Mega Drive, has to be said, but it moves fast enough and it does what it sets out to do. You're a policeman in a Ferrari and you must smash into criminals' cars to stop them and pull them over and put them under arrest. Despite the graphics not being the greatest, it plays quite well, and so I forgive it quite a lot here. Chase HQ 2. Everyone's heard of Chase HQ, haven't they? Have they? They must have done. C2, the arcade game. This is like a shooter in the style of Operation Wolf, where you control these crosshairs to shoot all of the Terminators that come across, get your weapons, protect all human life, and it's over multiple stages, including one stage where the Terminators run quite comically next to an armoured car and you must shoot them as well. It's an apocalypse. C2, the arcade game. Shoot and fire, shoot and destroy. Skynet have got a lot of answers to. The robots have come self-aware, and it plays quite well also. I would have played this quite a lot as a kid. ROBOCOP 3. Now it's very good graphics for a ROBOCOP game, but it's extremely difficult. You definitely need the upgrades in the shooting power. I never got off level 1 on this one because the end of level guardians were just too powerful, but before that point it's quite enjoyable. Reminds me a lot of the original ROBOCOP game in the arcades. It feeds off that a lot, but you're never going to get a better looking ROBOCOP here, although there might be a better one looking a bit later on. Terminator 2 Judgment Day, yeah, not as polished as those other games. Different stages there which look quite different from each other. Here the Terminator has gone into a bar to get his clothes and find a gun and keys and stuff and locate the whereabouts of John Connor, and the next stage we go on a motorbike across town to try and find him. The graphics aren't good on the cross-town one. It's like a map and an isometric where you try and avoid crashing into cars. It's an okay game. It's not as good as the other Terminator offerings, I would say. ROBOCOP vs Terminator. See, look, now this is the best that ROBOCOP's ever looked. Look at the shading. He's got a good size on him. He must track down various Terminators and kill them, I believe, but most of the time you are controlling ROBOCOP. I'm a big fan of this character. My favourite film character of all time, I would have to say. Go Murphy, go. Murphy be good. End of level bosses are quite good as well, but you do need the power-ups. I don't know who this guy is. I don't think he's from any film that I remember. But he's dead. Tetris, they don't come much more basic than this. So we looked at a few Tetris variants, but this one actually is Tetris. I think this version might have only come out in Japan, I might be wrong. All the shapes are there. If you're used to Tetris, you'll know how to play this straight away. I would say interesting backgrounds, but this one just looks like, I don't know, the desert or something. You could be playing this for hours. It's another one of those games where it doesn't take a great deal of thought. It does get a bit hectic later on, and time goes past really, really fast. But you always want the right piece, don't you? Super SKIDMARKS, let's forget about the name. Another top-down racing game. I prefer Rock and Roll Racing out of the two, but lots of people would love this. There's a more variety of cars in this. The cars are slightly smaller, so you see more of the map in one go. It's sort of like nearer to Super Off-Road, one of my faves, but not quite getting there. You do need the upgrades on the car to make it handle a little bit better, but it's a good one. Super SKIDMARKS also come out on the Commodore Amiga. I think reviewed SKIDMARKS, but not Super SKIDMARKS. Two crude dudes, here they are being crude. It's well, it's two brothers, but at the moment it's just one guy. This game was called Dragon Ninja on the Commodore Amiga, and it played a lot different to this one. Anyway, you control this bully boy that must beat everyone up in the town. It's very comic book with those whacks and baffs like the original Batman. I give it marks for that, but when you put it up alongside things like Streets of Rage, it's nowhere near. It's not nearly as good as that one. It makes you think, yeah, it could have done a lot better. So a little bit lackluster. Space Harrier 2, another classic from the arcades from SEGA. 3D revolutionary back in the day. You control this space cadet who's flying around, avoiding the trees and the scenery and getting shot, and then taking out End of Guardians each time in the fantasy zone. If you're in the fantasy zone, comment below. I'd like to hear from you. Get ready. And we destroyed that dragon, then we go on to the next one. It builds on the original Space Harrier. I think there's more to actually kill here. Look, here's one person. Chuck Rock, a great game on the Commodore Amiga, and it's not so bad on the Mega Drive either. I don't think it's quite so good because the music isn't quite there, but it plays more or less in the same way. Chuck Rock must go and rescue his girlfriend Ophelia, who's been kidnapped by a Gary Gritter. Yes, that's a dubious person, isn't it? But lots of good comic elements in this game. It's one of the most, it's one of my favourite prehistoric games that there is. It's got a lot of comedy elements like this. Do 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 do. Thanks, Bronto or Diplo. Alien Storm, this is like a futuristic version of Golden Axe, I suppose. I prefer Golden Axe to that one, but if you want a bit of variety, again you can choice of 3 different characters, and it's got good mini games between them as we destroy these Hubba Bubba Nightmare people that looks like they're made out of bubblegum. They show up a lot throughout the whole game. A lot easier in 2 players really, but I've got a lot of 50s B-film humour here. As we go into one of the mini games, and in this mini game we have to blow up this store and find lots of hidden gems. Clay Fighter, it's a bit like a beat 'em up, I suppose, but, well, it is really, but aimed more at a younger audience. The movements are a bit basic, the characters are a little bit more basic, but good fun nonetheless. Not too many special moves on this. I chose this Iggy Bod Clay as he's fighting Helga there. There is a rather cool Elvis character you control as well. It did have a sequel, but I'm not 100% sure it came out on the Mega Drive. It might have come out on the SNES, but not Mega Drive. I stand to be corrected as we kill Helga. Fire Shark. Now, you control this biplane in some World War I or World War II thing, or is it the future? I don't know. But there's tanks going around. It's fairly easy, first of all. It's quite an accomplished shooter. But again, if you're good at shooters, you're going to get well on this one as well. But it's okay. I didn't die straight away. You've got a few like power bombs you can use to try and get you some distance. And there's a few continues also, so you won't be pulling your hair out and have to start right from the beginning again with some good save points. Golden Axe, one of the super classics from the arcades, come out on practically everything. The Mega Drive version is pretty good also, it's fairly accurate to the arcades, and we'll be coming to the 2 sequels on that also. You can choose any one of 3 characters. There's Gilius Thunderhead, Tyrius, and the Axe Battler. Curiously enough, I don't think they're retained for the next 2 games. I think some of them will be, I'm not sure all of them would be. Some great sounds in this. I get a warm feeling whenever I look at Golden Axe. Kawasaki Superbike Challenge. The engine is very similar to Vroom on the Commodore Amiga, but because the bike's narrower, you seem to have a bit more of the track to work with. I really like this game. It's one of my favourite bike racers. Yes, I've said it. It's just because of the speed of the thing, and it handles quite well. Sometimes it feels like you're skidding around, but if you get the right speed on the corners, it'll feel quite good, and you can get some great battles against the other racers. A lot of tracks there, a championship, practice individual tracks. It's rather nice. Golden Axe 2, we're controlling Axe Battler this time. They revamped the magic, so you don't have to use it all in one go. You just use bits, like I'm going to do here, where I'm doing a bit of a whirlwind. I've been eating beans. It's the wind in the willows. But there we go. I prefer the first game, but it's good to have a sequel. Again, you can get on the back of dragons that have various powers there and get a sort of like distance. A big achievement if you complete this. Again, it's a 1 or 2 player. 1 player is ultra super tricky. What you gonna do? Championship pool. This game is flawed. Now, it could be a good pool game. The problem is, when the opponent takes his shot, you don't see his shots. It goes into a bit where you go into some kind of waiting room, waiting for him to take his shot. So it's almost as if you had to go out the room and come back. And if there's any balls left, well, good luck to you. I don't know why they've done that. With any game, you want the at least the semblance of fairness. This one, there's no evidence that it's fair at all. Ball physics, apart from that, are quite good, but the game's ruined in the style and its presentation, what it means to go about it. The Terminator. Now, presumably you control the Terminator later on, but most of the time at the start you're controlling this Carl Reese, who seems undefeatable. He's like a Terminator himself. He goes back in time to rescue Sarah Connor, but not might be later in this game, the Terminator. But look at him. I mean, he was just a freedom fighter with lots of other soldiers, but he's going around on his own. Carl Reese is one bad dude in this, much worse than he was in the film. Go Carl Reese. Golden Axe 3, the first in the series, they returned the magic skills back to normal. But what's a little bit annoying is some of the characters have got shields now, and you can't just do quick hack and slashing. It's different characters, although some of them look similar, but they're different guys to the first one. You can choose different routes to complete your mission, which is good. So if you complete the game once, a bit like Outrun, I suppose, you can branch off into a different area to have a different experience. And there's a few extra special moves in this also that if you want to perfect. So this is for people that have completed maybe 1 and 2. Oh Mummy. Now this is a quite interesting puzzle game. It's quite basic really, but to complete all levels you have to go round and create footprints around all of these tombs to find a key to get out. And there's like special weapons as well that you can do, and it gets harder and harder the further you go through. I think it's random each time where the key might be, but all the time avoid these red mummies or whoever's on the stage at the time from bumping into you. You can see what footprints I've done and I've escaped. Days Before Christmas, a really cute game this. I don't know why they gave it a Christmas theme, it really limited its end of year appeal, but outside of that, it's a really good platformer. Good levels of animation, nice music. I am getting a warm Christmassy feeling on it, despite at time of recording, it's nowhere near Christmas whatsoever. In a one horse open sleigh. Very sort of like different levels. A good puzzle element there. You're not going to complete it on your first go, but really nice to see. Streets of Rage. Now this is a super classic, one of the best fighters the Mega Drive has to offer. It's got absolutely great music, great movements, 1 to 2 players. I can't really fault this, and it's arguably which is the best of the Streets of Rage games. We could argue forever about what's best. Now what I like about the first one is the like the super power-ups that blast everyone on the screen. I think this guy can hail a police car to come and shoot everyone. Couldn't do that on the other stages. Castle of Illusion, Mickey Mouse, another really accomplished game. If you're looking for really good platformers on the Mega Drive and you're new to it, I would say track down all these Disney ones. I still need to track down one that's supposed to be a little bit like this, featuring Donald Duck, which I hopefully will come to in the next 50. Good music, a good character, and you know, a good wholesome theme to it. Jump on those mushrooms, kill the mushrooms, and collect as many goodies as you possibly can. What could be worse than that? Castle of Illusion. Chuck 2, Son of Chuck, not as good as the first game, but it's still got a few comedy elements there. This time you control Chuck's son, and Chuck has been kidnapped and his wife again. I'm not sure if it's Gary Glitter this time, but more than likely. Good. So if you like the first game, you will love this one, but not quite as good. So don't expect as equal there, but some good elements to it as well. I like that caveman that pushed Chuck up the top there. I don't know what Son of Chuck is called, probably just Son of Chuck. Streets of Rage 2. I think the Streets of Rage games slightly get better and better. With this one, you can. It's not all like horizontal scrolling. You can go down isometric like this at times. This is extra character who is a wrestler, but basically the gameplay is more or less the same. You do have to time your special moves a bit better, or you might use energy when you don't really need to. Streets of Rage 2. I think I prefer them slightly to Golden Axe, but it's very, very, very close. Superman, this is a very lackluster game compared to those other ones we looked at, so maybe it's a bit unfair. But Superman can't fly yet. Of all the powers he's got, it's always going to be tricky trying to recreate Superman in the game because he's got so many powers. How you display them all? But this one has just trimmed it right down. All he can do is punch things and do long jumps. I think there is a flying stage later on, but it doesn't occur to him at this point. He just walks across the rooftops a bit like Batman. I didn't like this game and I won't be playing it again. World of Illusion. Now look, this is absolutely marvellous. This is how a game should be done. Look at everything in the foreground and the background. The depth of play is amazing. Really builds on Castle Illusion there, and you really can't ask for anything more. The Mega Drive is doing excellent here. Good music again. You're really involved as if you're actually physically in a cartoon. Again, you're not going to complete it on the first go. I give this one really, really high praise. Probably the best platformer I've played on the Mega Drive, although I do change my mind a lot. But in terms of style, this has got it in spades. Streets of Rage 3. I don't think quite as good as the second and first one, but still of quite a high standard. You control this woman in boots that looks a bit like Liz Hurley from Austin Powers, and that can't be a bad thing. But yeah, fight everyone, rescue everyone. There's Streets of Rage 4 recently out on the PC. It's not out on the Mega Drive, so you know, if you want a bit of nostalgia, go for that. And I think it lifts the quality once again. It's a game I haven't reviewed, but Streets of Rage 3 this is. If you liked any of these, check out the full review on the channel. ZANY Golf. This one is a little bit lackluster. It plays exactly the same on the Commodore Amiga, and I think that's where it should have stayed really. It's doesn't really stand out as a console game. Amiga could get away with a lot because it was a computer as well. But you got a red golf ball, and that's about it. Try and work out your rebounds, go in a number of pars. If you run out of shots, you are, well, it's game over, isn't it? ZANY Golf, it's not really that zany. It's a little bit boring. Double Dragon 3 the Rosetta Stone, I should say. It's okay this, but again, if you put it across alongside Streets of Rage, it's hopefully unmatched. If Streets of Rage didn't exist, you'd say this one was okay. A few people think this one's better. I can't quite see it. It's got the jumping's there, but the difference is you can buy upgrades, extra characters, but you know, I just find it a little bit frustrating in one player. Streets of Rage is more forgiving in one player than this one. Here, just one player, you're going to get your butt kicked. Smash TV. Now this is quite a cool little game. Based on a TV show, come out on a number of systems here, where you must play a lone person through the studio and kill as many people as you possibly can survive to get to the next stage. And also as well, collect prizes and money. Takes a while to get used to controls. There is 2 players on this, so it'll probably be a little bit easier there, but again it's quite addictive and a lot of fun. Hooray! So yeah, thank you for watching that. If indeed you watched the whole video, I really appreciate that. So that was Sega Mega Drive games, Genesis games reviewed on the channel, 51 through to 100. We'll keep going through with those. Hopefully we'll get to another installment like this. So thanks again for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, that'd be grateful if you could do, because that does give me incentive to keep going. Until next time, take great care of yourself and a very fond goodbye.
Goodbye.